let's talk about the biggest lie that society sells us and law schools and professionals sell us. And that's that law school works for everyone and is the key to financial success. Spoiler, it's not. Hi, I'm Candice Quinn, founder of Contract Tag, and I'm here to tell you that for most of us, the math just doesn't math on law school, and a lot of people should probably just avoid it. So let's get started. And if you're new here, I am a successful attorney. I have been in-house, I've been in government, I've been a paralegal, I've been in a law firm, I've had my own firm. I've pretty much done it all, and I'm here to tell you what works and what doesn't work. And what I'm going to tell you today is that law school doesn't work for most people. It just doesn't work for most people. But here's the thing. If you've gone to law school and you're now unhappy and miserable with lots of debt, it wasn't your fault. The system was set up to encourage you to go and not set up to get you a job or make you successful when you're done. That's the honest truth. It's not set up to work. Today, I'm going to hack the numbers to prove it to you. So here's the promise. You go to law school, you work really hard, you graduate, and you're going to get a job paying what? $190,000, right? Or something like that. That's what they promise. You're going to be successful. You're going to have the job, the career. You're going to make the money. You're going to get the fancy car. That is the promise. Here's what they don't tell you before you start, or even when you're finishing. They don't tell you that the average lawyer salary in the United States is just $95,000. Now, that doesn't sound bad, but here's the thing. That's not the average starting salary for an attorney. That's the average salary for all attorneys. That means no matter whether they just graduated or they're 50 years into the practice, they are making an average of $95,000 a year. And kicker, 50% of those attorneys make less than $95,000. So most attorneys are not making anywhere near $190,000. They're not even making six figures. Now, what does it cost to go to law school? So right now, the average cost of law school, including living expenses, because you cannot work while you go to law school if you're a full-time student, the average cost is $230,000. That is an insane amount of money. Okay, so law schools don't want to teach you this part, but if you come out of law school and you make the $95,000 average salary, to service the $230,000 in debt that you have, you are going to be making a payment of approximately $2,700 a month. Now, once you make what is the equivalent of $32,000 in debt payments from that $95,000 salary, you are then going to be left with about $63,000 to live on. But wait, that $63,000 doesn't include the taxes that are going to come out and the health insurance. It doesn't include your rent. It doesn't include food or your transportation or anything fun. So effectively, after you make the student loan payment, you're living on a salary of $63,000 a year, which is definitely not what attorneys were sold. And that's if you're making the average salary. Remember, 50% of attorneys aren't making the average salary and they're living on less while still having the same amount of debt or more. Now, we're going to up this a little bit more. If you didn't go to law school, you could have been working and making a salary for those 3 years that you were in law school. Now, let's say you had a great bachelor's degree that qualified you for a lovely job, right? Just a lovely job, okay? Let's say you were making $60,000 a year at that job with your bachelor's degree. That is another $180,000 that is just lost opportunity. That is not exactly the measure of success. So when you're looking at the total cost of law school, you have to factor in not just the cost of the loans and not just the missed opportunity for income, but you also have to factor in all the interest that you're going to pay on those loans, which right now is about 7 to 8% on average. So you're going to repay a lot more than what you actually borrowed when you factor in all of these things. But I know, I can hear it. You're thinking, but Candice, I'm going to make more than the average. Of course I am. And, I hope you do. And some people will, right? Some people will. They're probably not watching this video though. So I'm going to assume because you're here, you are not making the average, or you probably won't be making the average when you graduate. And so what do you do in that situation? You're already invested into law school, you've gone through it, or you're almost done. What do you do next? So let me back up for a second because I believe in 100% transparency. So I want to share with you my own story just to prove that this is not a falsehood or I'm not deflating the statistics. This is my real life experience.
This is me.
I graduated in 2010. I was a paralegal, like I've said before, and I did not get a job right out of law school, so I stayed as a paralegal for another year, making $35,000. Then when I went to the clerkship, it was a 2-year clerkship, I made about $60,000 in year 1, and I made about $80,000 in year 2 of that clerkship. Then when I moved to a regional firm, I actually went backwards and made $60,000, and I stayed at $60,000 for quite a few years. Yeah, I got some minimal raises at the firm, but it was, maybe $2,000, maybe $3,000. Then I started my own firm, and that also grossed about $60,000 a year before my expenses. When I moved in-house as a paralegal, I also made $60,000 there. So there's a long time where I made around the exact same amount with no bonus or increase. When I finally got promoted to an attorney and got that attorney level salary in-house, I was making $100,000, and now, today, after a lot of strategic moves in-house, bouncing around, I make $200,000. So to put this into perspective for you, when I graduated from law school in 2010, the equivalent of $200,000 then would have been $134,000 and change. So with inflation, yes, my salary looks very good, but with inflation, it's not as much buying power as you would think it would be, considering that I am 15 years into my attorney career at this point and have a ton of experience that should be netting me a lot higher salary than it is. And here's the kicker to me that no one shares, right? Instead of investing your money in law school, you could be doing a lot of other things. You could be investing in the stock market. You could be buying a house. You could be starting a family. And instead, you're taking on all this debt and doing all of this work, probably delaying other things in your life, like having kids, which is another topic we'll talk about, in order to go to law school with this promise of having this great career and making all this money when you're done. And that's just where the reality does not fit the promise. Look, I know that no one told you that this was what was happening because it's the secret. They don't want to tell. Law schools just keep enrolling people, taking their money, happy to sell you on a dream, showing you statistics that are inflated or don't tell the whole truth so that you keep going to law school and paying the tuition. If they didn't keep this up, people would stop going and they'd be out of business. So law school does work for some people, right? So let's talk about who those people are. One, people that actually get into big law, don't mind the hustle of it, and pay off their debt quickly. It works for those people, but that's only 15% of graduating attorneys that actually get into big law. Two, people that have family money who aren't taking on debt and basically they don't have anything at stake. It works for them. It also works for people that have a guaranteed job coming out of law school. So maybe nepotism babies, or people who have some kind of connections of some type. I mean, I don't know the full story, but it works for them. But it doesn't work for first gen college and law school grads. It doesn't work for people that have to take on the debt to have this promise of law school and the career after. It just doesn't work. Okay, so you're about to graduate or you have graduated law school. What do you do now? You know you're not getting big law. You know you're not going to get that guaranteed salary. So what do you do? Well, your first step is to talk to a financial advisor and figure out how to hack your debt. And whether that needs to be a refinance or what it needs to be, you need to get the lowest interest rate you can, lower that payment, and take care of servicing this debt as quickly as possible so it's not hanging over your head. I wish I had a lot more tips on this, but I think it's the hardest one. It's the one where you just have to work hard to pay it off. And it quite frankly sucks, and we can all just admit that, but they're not dischargeable, so we can't really do much else with them except pay them. Maximize your earning potential. And this is where I can help you because I am an expert at leveraging and strategizing to get raises and salary bumps. I've made so many job moves just to get salary bumps that it might even be laughable to some people, but it's been necessary, because if I stay at a company and the annual raise is $2,000 to $3,000, that's not making a drop in the bucket if I can make a move and get a $20,000 a year raise. So of course I'm going to make the move. Like, that's a no-brainer, and that's where I can help you how to figure out how to strategically make moves that can help you increase your salary in a more linear form over time. Finally, stop comparing yourself to the big law narrative. It's not you, and it's not going to be you, and that's okay. It's not me either. It's not my friends either. So let's figure out how we can look at where we really are and find happiness in that instead of comparing ourselves, because comparison is the thief of joy. And finally, you need to use every tool available to you. That's also why I created Contract Hack, because there's not a lot of information out there about how to negotiate, how to redline, how to do these things. You are required to learn them from existing attorneys or learn them on your own by trial and error. And that's not real fun and doesn't feel like you're being real successful when you do those things. So I created Contract Hack in order to provide all those tips and tricks and teach you all those things you need to know to be successful in your career faster and be able to make those strategic moves sooner and quicker. Now, if you are thinking about going to law school, just run, avoid it, just avoid it. If you're already a year in and you're not sure, you're having doubts, like, drop out. Don't throw good money after bad. Like, I'm not kidding. It's not going to get better. If you already don't like it, it's not going to get better. So run, leave. Trust me on that one. If you're still seriously considering it, you need to be brutally honest about what you're going to make and what kind of debt you're going to have coming out. And then really run those numbers and figure out, does this make logistical financial sense? Like, if I talk to a financial advisor, would they tell me that this made sense if I was like investing in a business instead of going to school? Because I think if they looked at it from a different perspective and weren't buying into the societal expectations of law school, they would admit that it's not a good investment. Now, if you still do it, you can still be successful. You need to get creative and figure out how to get to where you want to be and how to strategically do that. And if you're still in that situation, I can still help you do that. I did it myself. Instead of getting beaten down, I just kept going. I never stopped. And I've been able to, since 2018 till now, I've been able to increase my salary by 100%, which is pretty amazing. And I can help you do the same thing. So if you are stuck in the law school trap or got stuck in it and you need help to get out, definitely schedule a call with me. I can discuss with you all of the options that you have to reach your goals and make strategic steps to find the right path for you. The link to schedule a call with me is in the description and the pinned comment below. Go ahead and drop a like and leave a comment if you like this post. And until the next one, hackers, I'll see ya. Bye.